list, but our health department has been on top of it, but they're doing it very measured, and we are far down the list. So they are focused right now, though, is 65 and up. And then I think the next group is essential workers, teachers, etc. So they've already done, but the nursing home thing is a mess everywhere because that's a federal contract that is separate from all of this stuff that the local health departments are doing. So the local health department here is about to tear their hair out because of course they're getting tons of complaints from people about why haven't you vaccinated my loved one who's in a nursing home, and they're like, we don't have any control over that. So
yeah. If you haven't heard, West Virginia's done very well with theirs, and they developed their own distribution because they didn't have a lot of CVS stores, and so they had to come up with their own deal, and apparently they got all their allocation done very quickly. And then Kentucky, the government is partnering with Kroger grocery stores because they're all over the state, and that's how they're going to try to get it out to all the rural areas, I guess. But I don't know how they're doing there.
Well, Laura, that's great that you guys are serving, a research park serving as an inoculation center. We should make sure, if you have a press release, we should mention that in Park Post. We would love to, I think, highlight any role our parks are playing, even if it's just, a physical place.
Yeah, I'll write something up and post it on our site. I mean, it was, of course we knew after the fact that was where it was going to be, but but hey, that's where it is. And so it's good for people to know. I mean, I often do this exercise because, people know that hotel, it's very well known. But when I go and talk to people, I'll say to people, how many of you have been to the research park? And a few people raise their hand, and then I'll say, how many of you have been to the iHotel? And more than half the room raises their hand. And I said, well, then you've all been to the research park. So
yeah.
Anyway, it's a good marketing thing for us.
So I took a call. They were wanting to maybe use our conference center, and but they wanted us to staff it from parking control to monitoring the 30-minute wait time.
Oh.
And I said, we can't do that. So
Kate didn't want to do that?
No, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. No.
Yeah, the good news here is that I think from what they're saying is that, the county is great cooperation between the county, the health systems, the university, we have a fire service institute, they're all in on it. Basically it's been a huge community effort here. So that's the good news, is that people are good at collaborating here. Whereas I think in other jurisdictions, there's a lack of that. But along those lines, they haven't asked us to, like I said, I didn't even know that we were the site until the press release came out. So they, we're certainly helping promote to the people in our audiences or when it comes up. But yeah, we have had some, let me say, well, you are recording this, so maybe I shouldn't say it, but some folks in our park who think that they should jump to the front of the line, the vaccine line, which has been an interesting exercise. So.
Charles Barkley thought that all the NBA players should jump to the front of the line because of all the taxes that they pay.
Yes, interesting. But glad to hear that more of you have access to the saliva test. To me, that's like old news. We've been doing it since July around here. So, but actually more of our tests are getting out into other universities too. So that's kind of good. Wisconsin using our tests, a bunch of smaller colleges in the university in Illinois and elsewhere. So
And Laura, are you guys reopened for in-person or are you still on winter break?
Next week is the official, they pushed it back. It's normally the day after Martin Luther King Day, but they pushed it back and then of course canceled spring break. So, but students are definitely returning here and they have to get 2 negative tests before they are allowed into the classroom. So the move-in is happening, and which is a much more, I think, I don't think we ever really thought that much about, yes, you think about it the weekend before they come back because then all the grocery stores, all the Doritos are gone in the grocery store that weekend. But this year it's a little bit more prolonged and over a longer period of time. So didn't have that single rush. And I'm serious about the Doritos being gone.
I wanted to ask about if any of you guys throughout the whole, it sounds like higher ed took a really, a strong leadership approach going back to last summer and throughout the fall semester with testing large, portions of the population, all of that. And we've seen that continue into the spring in terms of, Georgia Tech has has improved upon and perfected as much as we can the asymptomatic testing procedures, so much so that our state legislature actually called on us to provide asymptomatic testing for our General Assembly that's meeting right now in person to, keep our state running. And I just wondered if anyone else, any other park has kind of worked with government agencies or seen those public-private or public-public partnerships expand, especially in terms of COVID.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what's happened here. We don't really have much to do with it, though. They had to basically, they took somebody from the business school. I mean, there's been a whole group of people now who are in charge of that and managing it from that standpoint. But yes, they are doing it. They actually have a team of people who are working both in state as and how that's working with other institutions. And then they also have another group of people that are working on this with private industry. Much of that is out of the state. So there's some company in Minnesota that somebody was telling me about that they're doing pilots with. I think actually we have actually a company that has done some work with us in the research park, but as a broader corporate engagement with the University of Illinois, they're doing a pilot of it in their corporate headquarters. So some of these companies are looking at it as a way to return their folks, a part of their return to work strategy. But yeah, it's all being managed. It's not being managed by the research park in our case. It's being managed by almost like a whole other new operation of the university. So, and it's not new. They're basically they've just taken people and repurposed them, so to speak. But yes, definitely. And I think that the university sees that, number one, as a way to potentially recoup a lot of the cost that this is, hopefully to, make a negative into a positive at some point, because this has been a very expensive endeavor for the university. But more importantly, I think, being a partner and proving itself as the innovation engine of the state is a very important strategy.
Phil Mattingly is joining us right now. Phil, congratulations to you as well.
Yeah, Laura, I think it's spot on. Not only, just the potential value, Georgia Tech, we haven't expanded to as far as providing anything to private companies, and in that, we're really focused on our community, but we extended our reach to include the state legislature when called upon, as a part of our mission for, serving the public good. As a public university, we really see this as an opportunity to serve our state. And we saw that the intangible value of being a good partner and keeping our legislators safe and doing all that is really valuable. And I know that our government relations staff, they are working tirelessly to make all of that happen. And so it's been exciting to kind of hear their progression, and also, really exciting to see some lawmakers wearing Georgia Tech mask and seeing all that kind of stuff that that you love to see.
Yeah, I mean, we've had there's been some frustrations because of the EUA that we have, the use authorization. And so the community has been very frustrated because the community wants this to be, had wanted, access from everybody and their brothers to get access to it, of course, the schools and everything. But there's been a lot of frustration that why isn't the university working quicker to do this? Well, the reality is that the university has very little control over this, and it's really become it's an issue at the federal level. So they're doing their best to get whatever, frankly, they say, well, you haven't had enough, negative tests or whatever. I mean, I can't imagine why that is, but it's like, oh, you want more negative tests or whatever. So they're having to do some jump through a lot of hoops about trying to get it access opened beyond the university populations. And that has been very politically, I think, in the community has been very frustrating to the community. Now, the good news is that we've had very good access to asymptomatic testing through the state. So it's not like the community is lacking in that and free. But there's been a lot of friction there, and the university, frankly, is not very good at communicating what the holdup is. So if I had to tell them, this is a big frustration in the community and you need to be more forthcoming about it, but they haven't really done that. So that's, for whatever reason. So hopefully that logjam will, meanwhile, I think there's the schools and have just sort of looked to other resources to get some testing available. But
Martha, what's happening at Montgomery College?
Sorry, ask again?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what's happening at Montgomery College in terms of, are you guys reopened and?
No. Well, we've always been open. We have not been on campus. Everybody, the online classes have been going since last year, about, April. It's been hard because this is the campus that I work on here. And I was actually up there on Saturday, I think. Yeah, I was up there on Saturday. I shouldn't say that. I don't live near the campus, so I have to drive up. And it's just, people aren't there. And it's all done online. Everybody does this. I live on Zoom, and it's actually going well. We keep track of the number of students that we have, how this will play out afterwards. I will say that it's, we have this building we're trying to get tenants for, but it's just hard. Our broker's doing it, and it's just an unusual time. And interestingly, you were talking about getting tested. We have an incubator on our campus. It's county owned. And there is a company, initials that starts with P, and it's gone right out of my mind. I haven't met them because they have come in since we haven't been on campus, and they do testing. And the chair of my board had emailed me and said, do you know about this company? Do you know this, what's going on with the testing and everything? That he actually got tested. So it wasn't for free at all. But he got his results within, I don't know, under 24 hours. And anyway, I just thought that was interesting. So we're working, but we're not there. Did that answer your question? Or
Yeah, no, it did. And how's the new building? I can't remember. You're just trying to find tenants at this point.
Yeah, it is our developer, Minkoff and Sure Partners, until they get a large 60,000 plus company. I mean, we've got everything ready to go. The minute they get that, which I guess maybe this is the group that Montgomery County has AstraZeneca, one of their people are on my board. We have a number of life sciences companies and ones that are involved in the COVID vaccine. And so that's the hot companies. Those are the hot companies that are looking, but we don't have a built building. They'd like to be there, but we don't have a built building and they need it now. And
Yeah.
so that's what's been difficult, is saying, we can get it up for you. We can put a shovel on the ground, but you have to need it in, under 24 months. So
Right.
we keep out there.
So Novavax they need manufacturing right now. They're one of the warp speed companies in Montgomery County.
Yeah.
They need
Yes.
space
Yes.
now. So
Yes.
showing them a PowerPoint of a project isn't helpful.
No. And, it's really interesting to listen to all the different brokers and companies in Montgomery County we're in the right business. Life sciences, cybersecurity. Can we have it delivered tomorrow? No. And they need it tomorrow. And whether it's the COVID vaccine or not, but it puts us in a bind. We can do it. We just can't do it now. And, anyway, so we continue to push forward with all the life sciences companies. And some of those are the ones that were in the incubator and have moved out so that they can have more space, but we just can't get it to them in time. Anyway, I'll start crying if I continue on this. It's a happy day. It's a presidential inauguration day, so all is well. It's all smile.
Yeah, there was a research park, I know they had cut a deal with a developer where they said there always had to be 40,000 square feet of space available. So, once the next building was built, they said, or the building was filled, there always had to be space available, because we all know that's the most important thing. Saying you're gonna have the space available in 18 months or 2 years doesn't cut it.
We need the money for it. I mean,
Yeah. How do you finance that?
We need the money.
Yeah.
And our foundation does not have enough money to do that. And so we've got a great deal with Minkoff and Shear. As long as we can find that first tenant, we are ready to go.
It's classic chicken and egg issue. Yeah.
I know, it's depressing sometimes, isn't it? Except for today, when we have a great new president. Oops, did I say that?
Ryan, that was our park and it's 20,000 square feet.
Is it 20? I know.
Yes.
Laura, I didn't know if, I think that's a brilliant idea. And how you cut that deal with the developer. I mean, have they stuck to it for all these years?
It's been interesting, just but actually that development agreement expires in this spring, and we're about to put out an RFP for something else, so we'll see. But yes, it's been interesting.
It's what we all aspire to. Now, whether you can finance it, whether the developer would agree to it, totally different set of circumstances, but that's what we all need, is space available, opportunity space.
Well, and in that case, it was, kind of the swap out of the risk reward. I mean, they got a lot of reward as the sole developer and other things, but they also took on a lot of risk. So
So related to that, when you go out for another RFP, will it be for another major developer to do the same thing? Or what? Explain a little bit about that.
I can't speak to the RFP specifically because it's not out yet, but we did have an RFI that we request for information, and it was specifically about 2 zones in our park. So that we are looking to have developed, and in those zones, it was up for grabs, sort of the RFI. We use the RFI for folks to propose different ideas of what to do with that land. And so it is more along the lines of that space is more towards the mixed use area of what we want to see. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, those pieces of land, just on an acreage is very vastly different than what the previous agreement had been for. So we'll see what happens. But the RFP is going to be hopefully launched this spring.
Okay.
That developer agreement was also 10 years too. So Yes.
So is this the time to ask questions? Is that what peer-to-peer is about? Is it? If not, let me back up. Is it? Yep.
No, Martha, go. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I move my head, which way? I'm a backwards person. If I move my head, y'all can see some land, and I don't know if you can see my finger. Wait a minute. It's right there. It's 12 acres. That's next on the list. And my real estate committee, we're trying to figure, do we go for one developer who can work on 12 acres and help us propose? Do we, like what we did with this other 5.67 acres, we did a preliminary subdivision plan with a building and then went out with an RFP for a developer? Do we do that for the 12 acres? I mean, we've been going back and forth on this. And I can see the reason for a major developer. I can, that makes it a lot easier, I guess. But then backing up some, it's maybe we go back out for a preliminary subdivision plan and develop it into different parcels. I don't know. I mean, help, what would y'all do? Anybody? I'm looking for answers. And Aaron, you can come down and see us. Okay, you're new to Maryland, so welcome, come down and we can explore this. I used to explore stuff like this with Ellen, so I like to explore. So if anybody has any suggestions on what they would do, I'd love to talk about it.
Well, we have a single developer model.
Mm-hmm.
And there are pros and cons, and we're going through the pros and cons of those right now to try to determine, should we continue down that path or should we do something different? I think the pros are it's easy, right? You got
Yeah.
one developer to deal with, right? You got one negotiation, one set of rules. Probably the biggest con is you have one source of capital. You have one willingness to take certain types of risk. Different developers will take different types of risks for different projects. And so I think it really kind of comes down to what the climate in your area is.
Mhm.
And how you think you could best move forward fastest. And, you know, we're kind of going through that discussion right now.
So what would you do if you didn't have one developer? You'd go after, what would you do?
You could put an RFP out for an individual lot. So like you could lay it out in floor plates for buildings
Mhm.
that you would desire. And then you could go out for an RFP like Illinois is doing per floor plate. You could group 2 or 3 together. You could do individual projects.
Okay, so you would go out with,
Key that with if you have a project that a company wants to do, you could key that with them. You could say, we want X amount of retail. You could put it out and just see what happens. There's a lot of risk in doing that because what you may want may not be what people are able to put together. You know, is it multi-tenant? Is it single tenant? I actually think having the ability to go to multiple developers for multi-tenant buildings is an advantage. You know, single tenant, you know, you kind of flip a coin, but multi-tenant is you can stack different types of financing. You can bring in different types of amenities. You know, you could put something in about a daycare. You could put something in about,
yeah.
you know, an urgent care facility, you know, all of those types of things.
Okay. I'm taking notes. Anybody else? That's helpful, because when we're talking about it in the real estate committee, we do have some, a land use attorney, we have, oh gosh, who else is in that committee? Another type of lawyer. I mean, we have one developer, and just bringing up how others have done it would be very helpful. Which, going back to what you were talking about, the one developer, one source of money, that's a good way of putting that. Good and bad.
I think too, you need a developer that has the kind of attraction to the tenants that you want. Because
Mhm.
not everybody is geared toward the types of businesses that we desire on our research campuses.
Yes. And that's one of the things.
I agree with
the-
Dan. I mean, multiple gives you a lot more flexibility. And
Mhm.
what we've done here is if we have a specific need or specific use, we'll put out an RFP. And then outside of that, we just work with a number of real estate brokers who know what we have. And that's a slow way to do it. But, you get a deal every so many years and you eventually have the place filled up.
So do y'all work with your economic development entities
Yes.
doing that?
Yes. Yeah, sometimes the deal will come and then you got to put the development team together.
Mhm.
And sometimes the developer will come with a tenant and then you put the deal together with that.
Do y'all ever use any incentives by the community or the state?
Well, the state has a number of incentives that are based on job creation. And locally, I mean, specific to our research campus, we have ground leases, so we have a lot of flexibility on how we set up the ground leases.
Mhm.
In some cases, there might not be rent for a period of time. We're doing a deal for multifamily housing, and I'm pretty confident that once it's open and occupied, it'll get sold off to a REIT. So we've given the initial developer zero rent, but when the project sells, then we get paid a prepayment for the rest of the term of the ground lease. So there's a variety of things you can do. We've also got an area that's set up as a tax increment financing district, and we can do some negotiating there also because we'll get some money back from taxes that are generated for public infrastructure on those specific sites. So we can work with the developer on how much of that do you get, or how much do we get.
Mhm. So who do the multifamily houses go to? Is it faculty? Is it?
No,
who-
it's market rent. Our research campus is 4.5 miles from the college campus, the university campus.
Okay.
And we're a good location for residential, and there's a lot of demand for residential. And the live, work, play, learn, innovate, however you guys phrase it, is the desire that a lot of research campuses have. And so we've got a multifamily developer that's going to get started here in another month or so. We'll have 260 units.
Well, we want housing, but it's student housing. So that's another discussion. So, but that's interesting to hear.
We
So
would
Student
love
housing
housing.
should be easy to get.
You have what housing?
There's a lot of money out there chasing student housing. You should be able to find people to do that pretty easy.
Yeah, I know. That's the kicker though, is that what does that do? Most of the people who attend Montgomery College are in the community, and sure, a lot of them would like student housing to be off of it. But, that's something that we won't we won't do. The college can do it, but PICMC won't. We're going to concentrate on businesses and how to integrate that. But no, I have a lot of people who would love to put up housing, and I have to direct them to the college because that's just not, I don't know if you can see where we are, but there's other housing around us, and it's something the college should do. So
Yeah, we are looking for housing too, but we are specifically not doing student housing. If anything, it's geared towards, there's a market that's really underserved, which is young professional, young academic. That's where we want to serve. So, and that's how we've gone through it. Because yes, otherwise, yeah, doing student housing is a whole other ball of wax. So.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes behind that, and we're not in any position to do. PICMC can't do anything. The college can, but we can't. So I do have a question because I have not attended a lot of these. Should we keep list of questions and send them to Brian, to you and Vicki and Diana? And how are topics decided upon?
It's you got it. It's kind of a free form. I mean, initially it was really focused on COVID-19. You know, how each of our parks were responding. You know, testing, were you opening, all of those things that we touched on earlier. But reality is, Martha, this is kind of a free form, low barrier of entry. We're going to try to do it, you know, get back on schedule because over the holidays we got off schedule. But we encourage topics and volunteers to lead topics so that we get, you know, some people are going to sign up, like many of the people represented here attend this frequently, but if there are specific topics, sometimes we get, you know, subject matter folks. So Martha, if there's some particular topic, like I think you were interested in, you know, how to structure a request for a developer, RFI or RFP, you know, that could be a topic. We would just need to have somebody as the lead kind of direct the conversation, and then hopefully we'll get some people that have particular expertise in that. But this is AURP's forum. This is for you guys to decide as park directors.
Slightly change of topic. We just got our notice from the $900 billion second stage COVID release, what we're going to get on our campus. We're going to get about 50 million. Any of the rest of you gotten any word?
Steve, that's for the overall university, correct?
Correct. But that also impacts us. Like, we had to do layoffs. We're down to 2 electricians for the entire university. So this will allow us to get our facilities group back up and functional.
Will it allow you to travel to Salt Lake City in
that has
November?
I've always said,
okay.
I have an income generating account. Do stuff.
That's what I'm interested in, making sure universities can.
Well, I've already talked to Vicki, Brian, and she said, I don't have to go. I just have to send my check.
Yes, we have to pay.
So Brian, you were derelict in not getting funding for AURP dues as part of the CARES Act funding.
That's true. I should have camped out in DC more, yes. Actually, Vicki, we are applying for a P3 loan. As you may know, 501c6 organizations, which AURP was one, we were not authorized under the previous CARES Act, but they opened it up to a lot of economic development organizations, tourism destination organizations are organized as 501c6s. So thanks to our bank, Fulton Bank, which we became a customer of, and they focus on Martha life science companies. You know, Brett Schreiber. You remember?
Yeah, oh,
Brett?
Brett, yeah.
Yeah. So thanks to Fulton, they accepted our application. They haven't processed it yet, but we're cautious. Hopefully, we'll get some loan from the SBA for paycheck protection. So,
Nice.
but to Steve's question, I'm sure many of your other universities have gotten CARES Act funding at the university level. And how, I don't know how that is going to affect you. Like Mary, what about at Georgia Tech? Do you know?
I actually don't know. I was kind of keeping quiet. I don't know the exact amount. I certainly know that that's a hot topic of conversation, but I don't have the exact figure.
Yeah, I have no, that money isn't going to impact us. Thankfully, we haven't been that much that impacted, but from our perspective, at least our revenue sources. But on the other hand, we received through our EDA University Center, we have money to provide to give to entrepreneurs. So that's good. So we have, and also we, in addition with that money, we created a program that was already actually in the works, although we pivoted a little bit. But that's brought us, actually, one of the unintended consequences of this program has brought us a lot of good PR, which is we created a sort of a intro to data analytics and programming course that we are offering to folks across Central Illinois with a special focus on inclusion. And so prioritizing people of color and other people who have been traditionally underrepresented groups in the tech community. And so that's how some of our CARES Act money is being used. But again, that was through EDA as part of our university center. So that's pretty exciting for us. And so our second cohort is going to start in February, end of February. So, but not the same money that you guys are talking about. And frankly, if whatever discussions that has happened through our university, we haven't been included in them that I'm aware of.
So I know Aaron's asking about the any EDA money in the most recent stimulus package or the proposed Biden package. So I have not looked at it carefully. I don't think there was any in the most recent stimulus package because they hadn't really spent, as you recall, there was, I forget how many, maybe Steve Frazier knows, there was a sort of open-ended competition for EDA funding. And I don't think all of that's been spent yet.
Well, I think that depends on where you're at. Our regional office got 360 million and it's all committed.
Is it? Okay. Did you guys get any or did you apply?
I love the response we got. We love you guys. We can't figure out what you guys do.
Maybe
Not
you need
by
to spend more
just-
time with your EDA regional director.
If we just wanted to do a sewer line, we would have been better off.
I know, with a lot, in the past, it used to be the worst was first, right? I mean, with EDA, right? So, and parks were high on their list. But but that does give me a chance to mention on February 24th, put this on your calendars, in the afternoon at 1 p.m., I think, Vicki and Diana, we're going to have a session on what the Biden administration and the new Congress are going to provide in terms of new programs and funding for place-based and tech-based support, whether it's companies or whether it's for parks. We have folks from SSTI, ITIF. Julie Lenzer will be moderating. And so put that down. And I think all of those questions and related questions will be answered on February 24th. That will be day 36 of the Biden administration, but things should be clearer by then, and hopefully we'll have a good dialogue.
Did you see that SSTI is going to have a webinar on reducing barriers to federal partnerships on January 27th?
Yes, I did. And Martha, do you know who's, I don't know if you've seen this, Ben Wu, who is head of economic development for Montgomery County,
Oh.
where Martha is,
Oh, yeah.
is going to be moderating that. So, and Diana it's 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, February 24th, not 1 o'clock. So 1:30 p.m. February 24th. And I think the SSTI, I think may be open to, I think it's free. And
Yeah.
we'll send out information about that. But it's talking about the Federal Lab Consortium, which is also headquartered at NIST, also in Montgomery County. So yeah, you want to join that as well as our webinar on February 24th.
Real quick housekeeping. The notice you sent out, was it yesterday or day before yesterday? It was at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. It's now 1:30.
The notice.
Yeah, you sent out a sign up for peer-to-peer. Here's our next
it
two
was-
webinars.
For peer-to-peer and then for spring training, our spring training registration is now open.
Yeah, the webinars were on there too.
Were they on it?
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah.
you'll send out another notice, whether it's 1:30 or 1.
Yes, so
Yeah.
the webinar on February 24th is actually from 1:30 to 3 p.m.
Yes.
Eastern.
Yeah,
But
I
we
think
have more
so.
info
It is.
on our virtual seminar page on our website. I don't believe we have actually, I thought I opened registration for that, but maybe not. But the cost is $75 to join the webinar. And we will be sending out more Zoom information on that soon, like over the next few weeks. But we wanted to try and get the dates out there. We're also going to be holding some more upcoming Innovation University webinars over the next year. So look back on that page for more information on those as well.
So go back for a minute, and you mentioned Ben Wu. I know it's not ARP's webinar. Who's doing the one with Ben Wu? Where can you find that webinar?
It's SSTI, State Science.
SSTI. Okay. Okay.
And I got it too. I think Steve, I got an email just right before this session. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Martha, I'll forward it to you, and
Yeah,
we'll try to
okay.
forward it
That's
to
good.
our members.
Okay.
Well, it looks like we're losing some members. So Diana and Vicki, remind us, when is our next peer-to-peer?
So the next peer-to-peer will be in 2 weeks, which is on Wednesday, February 3rd at 2 p.m. Eastern. We will also be holding our first communicator check-in on February 2nd, which is a Tuesday, also at 2 p.m. Eastern. So we'll be sending out more information about registration for that as well. But the next peer-to-peer is in 2 weeks on Wednesday.
At 2 p.m. And hope to see you all, and please encourage your colleagues to join. And as you can see, it's, you know, information sharing and a low barrier of entry. But have a happy inauguration day. Think about signing up for the February 24th event, where you'll get more information.
Thank you.